building a super successful business is all amazing and it looks incredible on paper, but it comes at a cost.
I look at success as being able to like sit on your couch and read a book for a couple hours and hang out with your kid. Like for me, that would be my idea of success.
The day after you get your award for Interior Designer of the Year, what does it feel like to you?
It never feels as sweet as it should, and that's the sad reality of being super ambitious.
There are rooms that tell you who designed them the moment you walk in, and then there are designers who make you wonder what kind of life it takes to see the world that way. Yasmine Ghoniem grew up mostly indoors. Born in Kuwait, raised between Saudi Arabia and Sydney, the world outside was 50 degrees and not always safe to be in. So she learnt the room, its light, its sound, its smell, the way a space holds a family together or quietly comes apart. That was her first education long before she had a name for what she was learning. Today she is the founder and director of YSG, a Sydney studio she opened on the 20th of February 2020 in a former hair salon in Darlinghurst. 6 years on, the team is 15 strong. The work spans the country and beyond, and her practice has been recognised by Architectural Digest across multiple international editions, by Australia's leading design industry awards, and most recently by Vogue Living, which named her Interior Designer of the Year for 2025. Many will also know her from ABC's Grand Designs Transformations, which she co-hosts with Anthony Burke. What sets Yasmine apart is not the awards, though there are plenty. It's the way her rooms carry her life. She trained as a dancer from the age of 4. She played in bands. She was for a long time heading somewhere else entirely. The performer never left. She just found a different stage. Every YSG project is a production. Every palette carries something the heat and colour of the world she came from. But what the magazine spreads rarely show is what it actually costs to build something and what it means to be quietly building two things at once. This is that conversation. Welcome back to Season 3 of Build Beautiful. Before we begin, a word about the partner behind this season. Season 3 of Build Beautiful is supported by Tapetti, makers of fine handcrafted rugs and carpets, and our founding partner for the season. I have worked with Tapetti for years across my projects, so this is a relationship I already know and trust. Karina and her team have been true supporters of our industry and our practice, and I'm proud to have them alongside the show. You'll hear a little more from them across the season, always in my own words. But for now, I'm simply glad that they're here with us. Let's begin the season. I'm Linda Habak, and this is Build Beautiful, where design meets depth. Yasmine Ghoniem, welcome to Build Beautiful. Took a while to get your surname right.
Don't worry, a lot of people say Ghoniem actually, so you're quite close.
Ghoniem, right?
Ghoniem,
is the correct, that's the, well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you
so much. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You are obviously one of the most amazing designers. You've been around for 6 years in your own practice under your own name. You've obviously got a rich history. You had Amber Road with your sister for years before that. We can sit here and list off the accolades, but you were like, I don't want to talk about the successes, which makes me love you even more. And we're going to get into the really good stuff a bit later in the conversation, but it would be remiss not to talk about not necessarily the list of the accolades, but what I would love to talk about is what does it feel like? Like, for example, the day after you get your award for Interior Designer of the Year, what does it feel like to you?
Very, very good question, Linda. It never feels as sweet as it should, and it's the sad reality of being super ambitious and competitive, and you become your own worst enemy because you can't enjoy the successes. You go, okay, well, what's next? And I think everybody would agree with me who has their own business. It's everyone who wants to be successful, I think, would really struggle with sitting with it and going, oh, I did a great job. Because there's always a part of you that wishes you'd pushed a bit more and did something even more exceptional, or then, the standards get higher and higher and you go, okay, I've got to reach that now. So there's never that cheers moment. And I really tried to savor them a little bit more. And usually it's just my husband and I doing that solo you know, and doing it behind closed doors and congratulating one another that way. But it's not really, I need to get better at it, basically.
Yeah, I think everybody
Everyone
feels
does.
that way. But I guess, you know, what I'm trying to understand too is it's one thing, two things. Where does the drive to be successful come from for you? Like, can you link it back to something in your childhood or watching somebody who was successful? Because where does that drive come from? Because I've said this before many times on the podcast, I think for migrant or kids that come from migrant parents, it's almost in the DNA. It's in our DNA. So where is it for you?
Sorry, Dad, because it's probably about him a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really strived to make them proud all the time. And it never felt like it was enough because I didn't hear it verbally, you know, hey, I'm so proud of you, or you've done a great job, or anything. It was just sort of like it was expected and that was it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think now that I'm a recent mum, I really am conscious of words and how they, you know, make somebody feel supported or loved or all of those things. And yeah, my parents were amazing parents and they loved me to death. But the element of a verbal recognition of anything was sort of never part of our conversations.
Do you think it was cultural, or do you think it was just personality?
Well, I'd like to say it's cultural, but it's not, because my mum's Australian and my dad's Egyptian, so they couldn't come from, you know, further worlds.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have to go, okay, well, that's how they were raised, you know. So it's just kind of continuing something that they're not aware they're even doing.
Yeah.
So I have to, in my brain, go, yes, you said you were going to say this, and I have to really think about it, which I think it doesn't come naturally for me. So
do you apply, obviously you're saying that now that you're a mother, I imagine you're really thinking about how you mother your child, but do you think you also apply that to how you run the team? Yeah, and the studio?
Yeah, I mean, I'm conscious that, my words are important and they lay heavy sometimes, you know, and I need to, you know, be very conscious of what I say, but more importantly, how I say it. Yeah. And I think that's a cultural thing. You know, I have Arabic staff and she gets it. She understands where I'm coming from.
Yeah. I wish my kids would get it, because I get in trouble for that a bit.
And it is just like, that's how my dad spoke to me. That's how all of my aunts and uncles speak to one another, you know. So, again, I'm just really trying to be conscious. But then at the same time, not losing the essence of me, because that's also who I am.
Absolutely.
So it's like hard balance to get right.
Balance, I know. But I think awareness is always a good thing, like being aware of how, but I'm often aware after the fact.
Me too.
Which is really bad.
Really.
But you know, I'm good at apologising. I do that a lot.
I need to get better at that as well. Yes.
I've had to learn to, I've got three, well, they're not teenagers anymore. They're 3 young adult women in our family.
Wow.
And so I'm very, very aware that words matter a lot.
They do.
And I'm still learning. So you've
got
hope, I promise you.
Yeah.
Back to the feeling of success. I'd love to talk about, you know, walking into YSG Studio now. What does it feel like now compared to when you first started, or even a couple of years ago? Like, has that shifted for you?
That's definitely shifted. I think, you know, when my sister and I sort of went our separate ways and started our own thing, I obviously was upset that, you know, we were no longer partners, but a part of me was also really excited about being able to throw everything in and not have to ask for permission. So there was a lot of, I don't do things half-assed. I just go for it. And it's, you know, sometimes works out, sometimes doesn't, but everything's on gut instinct. So I, was working with 4 other people at the time when we opened up YSG, and then it quickly transformed into sort of like a 20-person team in probably a year, or even a little bit less, when my husband decided to join.
Wow.
And that was just after COVID.
What did he bring to the business that wasn't there when he wasn't there?
He was able to concentrate on, BD and contact with clients and picking up the telephone and sending invoices and all the accounting and the strategizing, like the pipeline, all of those things. I was still in the trenches. I was still drafting. I was still, that was all I was doing. I was just another staff member. And I wasn't really directing anything.
This was the first kind of 12 months.
12
months.
Yeah. I mean, I just kind of did exactly what I did in Amber Road. I was so in it, and
in the weeds, like you're deep in the weeds. I get it. We've all been there.
Yeah. I read all the books and I'm like, how the fuck do you get out of the weeds? Like, I want to get out.
I know. It's like, what's the formula? And you know
how to get there.
Yeah,
but
it's know what to do. Yeah. But actually taking those steps, it's very hard. It's letting go control. It's
so hard. I didn't let go of control. I still have that part. But I did let go of all the stuff that I didn't love doing. And I'm not, as much as brilliant. People think I'm, I love the camera and all these things because I do TV stuff, but I actually love being by myself. I don't love being the center of attention, although people would also question that. I enjoy solitude a lot. Yeah. So if I'm designing or I'm really stuck into something, I don't want to be super communicative. I want to kind of work by myself. I'm quite autonomous in that way, which is also not a great trait in a director. So I need quiet time in order to do stuff.
So, I want to talk about this stuff a bit later, but we're here. Let's go with it. So in terms of process, not so much in the details. I mean, I've talked to other people about that, but I think you're creative, like the way your mind works. When you say you kind of need that solitude, how much of a design or a concept, let's say, is worked out by you in your head in that moment of solitude and then brought to the team? Or how does that process work for you?
So I'd love to say I have time solo, but I don't.
Yeah.
And so I've had to learn over the last 6 years how to design on the go.
Yeah.
And that's really... a few things come into play. You're cultivating a team. You're ensuring that you're not keeping your strategies or design secrets or however you want to call them. You're not holding on to them. They're not yours. Yeah. If you want to try and get them out successfully, you have to teach whoever's working with you why you're doing these things. So, I created sort of like a Bible of sorts that describes what is a YSG project, why does it make it YSG, and I really had to sit down and consider myself what is a consistent thing, and it's not a look and feel. It's consistently a list of probably 8 sort of pillars, I guess, that I think make YSG.
And this document that you created, is it like a SOP, a standard operating procedure, or is it really?
It's very visual. It's very visual, sort of outlining what it is that we're trying to explain in that image. So we might put all of the projects that best illustrate that idea and kind of walk through why that works or why it's a pillar. So I think it became really useful, and I created it when I was having Sahara. Right. And I was stepping away for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And I was like, the world's going to end. Actually, the whole team was like, the world's going to end. I was like, I'm back. Like, it's 2 weeks,
Yeah.
So I think at that point, I had to sit down and go, okay, well, what do you want to really have embedded in, the YSG DNA kind of thing? And let people know that when we got new staff in, I'm sitting down and I'm explaining those pillars that they get. The worst thing is you hire someone and then they sit there and do like 10 arches and you're like, I fucking hate arches and I should have told you that. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. How would you have known?
Yeah.
And so when you sat down to do this, how did you, because I think creatives, so much of it is feeling and materiality and visual. So how did you put words to it as well? Like you put words and then marry? Because I think that's where, for concept at least, that's really when it's strong, when you can articulate with words what you're trying to visually portray.
I think with all the pillars, there's just one word that describes
each pillar.
Can
you give me an example of one?
So one might be fish out of water.
Right.
Everyone hates that term.
But what does it mean to you?
So fish out of water is that element of surprise. It's that thing that why the hell would you put it in there?
Yeah.
But if you took it out, it wouldn't be the same project.
Yeah.
So that's...
so every project has
yeah,
a fish
kind
out
of
water moment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's generally illustrated through materials.
Yeah.
You know, it's that pop or that really fluoro color in a very neutral palette that makes it interesting.
Yeah.
That if you lost it, the essence of the project would just sort of die.
Yeah.
So there's, lots of stuff like that. I think origin for me is very important being, mixed race. I get a lot of love for designing for people's backgrounds and their ethnicities. And I think you can really tweak it and make such fun outcomes and interesting original outcomes.
Yeah.
Because the flavors are so different. So origin for us is like key. And that's just really weaving their story into what we create.
I think that's why I find you as a person, but then the work, so it almost feels magical.
Oh,
when
that's one of the pillars, magic.
I love that. See,
yeah.
Because it feels magical. Like it feels when I look at the pages and you look at the work and you're just like, holy hell.
Oh, that's really nice to hear because I don't know if it comes across that way. So
Oh, no, but it's a lot. Visually, it's a lot. So I think you're lucky to have had clients who want that, who are craving that. I want to take a moment to come back to our founding partner for the season, Petty. If you don't know them, Petty makes handcrafted rugs and carpets for residential and commercial interiors, and I've worked with them for years through my own studio. What I love is that their work never feels like an afterthought. A rug can ground a room, soften hard architecture, bring warmth underfoot, and give a space the sense of calm and completeness we're always chasing. But it's more than a product. Behind Petty is Karina Gobo, who has built a business around craft, quality, and genuine relationships. And that is exactly why this partnership sits so naturally with Build Beautiful. It means a great deal to have a brand I know, use, and admire alongside the show this season. For more details or to connect with Petty, I'll leave their details in the show notes below. Now back to the episode. And then you deliver it in a way that is just so beyond anything my brain just doesn't think like that. And so, I kind of go, it's amazing. But I understand now. And I think what I'd love to get to in a minute is, speaking of origin, I want to go back and trace, what makes up the hardware and software in your brain to then be able to output these incredible designs. And so maybe we can step back in time for a minute. So we will come back to the studio and process and all of that. But it's good to get context. So you grew up in Kuwait.
I was born in Kuwait.
There. And what did you do Kuwait, Sydney, or was it
no,
there for...
So I went back to Australia to get my citizenship. Because my mum was Australian, obviously. So I never actually lived in Australia, though, until I was like 6.
Wow.
So I was born in Kuwait. I was there for about a year. Then I moved to Egypt for a year. Then I moved to Saudi for 4 years. Then I moved back to Australia. That was the first time, really, I lived here.
Yeah.
When I was 6 until about 10. And then I moved to Kuwait right after the Gulf War. So my dad was over there. He went missing for like 7 months. He was putting the fires out. So
can we stop for a second? Because I read about this in when I was doing the research, and you can just tell me to shut up.
Yeah,
but I'm interested in, was he a political person?
No, he was just oil rigs.
Right. Okay.
He was a chemical engineer.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he went missing.
Yeah. So, back in the day, there was no work for his industry in Australia. So he was unemployed for pretty much the entire time we lived here.
Yeah, right.
So the nest egg died and he was like, I've got to, do something. So, he was still hanging out by the phone back in those days. There was no mobile phone. And he was like, I'm waiting for that call kind of thing. And he finally got it and he went to Kuwait. And he's like, I'm going to go for a couple of months and I'll see you guys soon. Yeah. And then he never came back. And he did, but 7 months on. And so he arrived in Kuwait the day the Iraqis invaded. and he went missing for 7 months. And so we kind of assumed that he was gone.
How old were you at this stage?
Yeah, it was probably like 10.
So,
Yeah.
like, that's a really critical time
Yeah.
growing up. How did you feel? Like, do you remember what it felt
Oh,
like?
totally. Yeah, Mum was very distraught. There was a radio station you could call into with other people pleading for, answers about where their loved ones were over there. And I remember her just walking in and she was like sobbing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was intense, but
Yeah.
he came back
Yeah.
and he was like, we're going to Kuwait.
Yeah.
So he had all this like gun paraphernalia for my brothers. And I remember he had like a lot of masks. I'm not sure why, but yeah, we packed up our house in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And we flew to Kuwait. And I was actually really excited because
Really?
I was born there. So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm going to go see where I was born. And I like flew over Kuwait and I was like, this is average and it's very brown.
Dry.
Very dry.
Yeah.
And I remember just getting off feeling so depleted. I was so upset that like it hadn't lived up to my expectations. Oh. And, we arrived. My dad had already set up an apartment for us. And like I remember the kitchen experience was just like so dire. I don't know why I thought, the cabinet colors were like this deep mineral green color and I just felt depressed immediately.
Wow, to be that age and to actually understand,
it was, my dad had no furniture in there because he'd been living there like a bachelor for a long time. And then when we arrived, it was just like, we moved for this, like what? So
we left Australia for this?
And it was green and, Australia obviously was very different on a geographic level.
Yeah.
Just being able to see a tree was so, I remember that impact of like no greenery. There was no living anything.
It's a desert, isn't it?
It was a desert.
Yeah.
And the war had just finished. So they were like, I'd go to school with like kind of buildings half toppled over with like big holes in it.
Yeah.
And I was there for 10 years.
Wow.
So
how did it feel those first couple of years of being there? Like, did you just accept your fate or were you wanting
was hard.
to? Yeah. What did it feel like?
I remember the first day of school, I was with my younger brother and we kind of just like supported one another for that first like couple of months because we were just kind of almost a bit shell shocked, I think. We were like, what's going on? And I think at a really impressionable age. But I have to say that, the people I met at school are still like my best mates. Wow. They are amazing. They're all sort of mixed race. They're all half white, half, anything else. And I think that was really our saving grace was the people we met. And I think that's where my love of origin came into play because I saw the mixes.
Yeah.
That, I had a friend who was half Australian, half Somali, and half Russian, half Egyptian, half Jamaican, half English. So you had these like really intense opposites, kind of playing out in human life all the time. Yeah. And so you'd go to their houses and you'd enjoy different foods and different cultures and religions. And it was just such a good learning experience for a kid.
Well, it feels like hearing you speak about all of this feels like that's the foundation almost of the work that you now produce because I see it. I see the contradictions, you see the layering, like it's amazing actually hearing you talk about that. You see where that foundation has come from.
And that's one again of our sticking points is finding the tension in something. Yeah. And it's the opposites attract. It's these guys will never work out. But if you find the perfect concoction where they meet, it's like amazing.
It's magic.
Yeah, and that's what we try and
I have goosebumps.
find.
Oh, I'm going to cry. Because it's just, everything we become in life as adults is all founded somewhere in our DNA, in our origin, in our heritage. And when speaking to you about it makes me emotional because I have Lebanese parents and I get it. When I was 14, I went to Lebanon and I saw those buildings with the big,
the big holes.
The big holes in the buildings and it just shapes you even without you
knowing or acknowledging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And either you're going to have an opposite reaction to it and you want to reject it, or sometimes you do reject it for a time, or you embrace it.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've just kind of it enveloped you and then helped you create this beautiful body of work that in everything you see it. I see it now. It makes sense.
It's funny thinking about it because I never really thought about that when you said it's the foundation of kind of your practice, and I never really thought about it like that. But my dad said something similar the other day. He's like, he's visiting from Cairo at the moment, and he was, he's always very proud of what I've achieved now as an adult.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't you tell me like when I was like 30 years ago, I wouldn't be so driven, And he goes, Yasmine, do you think I had something to do with your success? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, Kuwait, it was very alive, like lots of people, different cultures. I can see this in your work. I was like, yeah, Dad, it was all you.
Yeah, it was all you. Doesn't every parent want to take full, credit for their child's success?
But I think at the time it was a really bad idea living there. But now I'm looking back and I'm looking at Sahara and I'm like, I want you to have the same richness in culture. And I'm worrying that she's not going to get that. And I'm constantly like, should we move? Like, should we go overseas and live there for 6 months? Or like, how do we inject more? And then I'm like, no, just chill. Like maybe doing the opposite is healthy,
But also it's in the language, it's in the conversations. It's those foundational values that you'll instill in her. And I can't wait to talk about Sahara. We're going to get to that. I wanted to ask you a question, but we've probably already covered it. But I wanted you to, describe what a room felt like. And we've talked about the kitchen and the green. And you poor thing, it was depressing. But I bet that's a colour that you probably weave in now or don't.
It's actually like my branding color, which is so weird.
Isn't that crazy? Did you realize that?
No, and even this like blood maroon color
Yeah.
was like my and I'm sure lots of people had this color for their school uniform, and I fucking hated it. I hated that color with a passion. And now it's like I'm drawn to it everywhere. I'm like, why do I like that color?
What's interesting too, just to speak about that color's of the moment now, but you've been doing that color from the very beginning. Like that is really a signature color for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things I love about your work is that it's not of any moment. It's of you. Like it's of your origin, your history. You can see that. It's so nuanced and intelligent. It's just not, of a moment. So anyway,
that's
just
so
going to
nice.
say that. Okay, let's talk about, I want to move on. Otherwise we'll be here forever because I have like 1,000 questions. I want to talk about the idea of you being a performer. You did dance. Were you a singer? Or yeah. So you sang. So like there's this performance element that you still have, and I feel like you've just translated it into your stages now, your work.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that?
Yeah, I guess. I guess the performance in something that's static, I suppose, isn't enough of a fulfilling performance for me.
Yeah.
So I still see it as a visual performance, but I always have to be doing something on the side, I guess, to fill that other side.
Yeah.
Hence why I do the grand designs stuff. And I mean, I used to sing and be in bands and play music even when I wasn't, actively performing. That's kind of stopped now, unfortunately.
But it's just a period.
But I have a funny story to tell because we went to, I went to the VL50 thing recently and they had this amazing choir, up on the stage singing Creep from Radiohead, which is like one of my favorite songs. I actually sang it when I, don't laugh, but I tried out for American Idol when I lived there.
Oh my God, that's
and
so cool.
I sang Creep, right? He also said that I didn't sound like Tom York, and I was like, well, dude, he's a guy and I'm not supposed to sound like Tom York. This is the point. Anyway,
it's your interpretation of it, right?
Yeah. So they were singing this song and I like immediately looked at my husband. I was like, I've been looking for a choir like this. Like, why have I can't believe it. I'm going to go and talk to them. So I was talking to Beck and she's like, do you want to meet them? I'll introduce you. So she took me backstage and I'm gushing. I'm just sitting there going, I love you guys. I used to be in a band. And I'm just like saying all this stuff. And Beck is looking at me like, who are you? And we left and she's like, I've never seen you so desperate. Like, why did you do that? I was like, because I want to be in the choir. Yeah. She's like, you don't even do this like for your own profession. Like, what are you doing? I was like, I guess I'm really hungry for that. So it was a funny moment. it was funny for Beck, I think, to see me so like hungry for something else other than design.
But it's passion, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just this beautiful, it's so nice to have another passion that you need to
100%.
pursue, that your soul needs to pursue. But that, I think, is very reminiscent of being a creative.
Yeah.
Like we're creative in everything we do. It's not just the one field that we're in. And I think it's so important to feed that. You have to feed that. So you're going to be part of the choir? Where are we?
So,
where can I get tickets?
So I emailed them and they're like, they didn't respond straight away. And I was like, oh, that's not a good sign. But anyway, they wrote back and said, oh, well, you have to interview or like for every performance, they don't have the same people.
Okay, right.
Anyway, they're like, we'll be in touch when it happens. I was like, that's just never going to happen. But okay.
Follow
so I'll
up.
just keep looking.
Just follow up.
Exactly.
Just keep following up. I'm going to see you on that choir. Okay. So talk to me about the years in America, because you got a scholarship in Savannah, deep south. Like, wow, completely different, I imagine, to what you'd experienced in Kuwait. So talk to me about those contrasts and how did you get this? Did you know, at what point did you know you wanted to be a designer?
Well, I think I've mentioned this before many times. This was never part of my plan. Like design was never really up here. Performing was. And then my dad being my dad, sort of, made it difficult to pursue that for me. And I grew up in the Middle East for a long time, my whole life pretty much. Yeah. So I was expected to do certain things. Yeah. And I said, well, I'm not going to be an engineer and I'm not going to be a lawyer and I'm not going to be a doctor. I want to be an actress or a singer or a dancer. And he's like, we're not doing any of those things. I was like, okay, cool. I'll do visual communications. So that was I did love graphic design and I still do. I love it so much. And I think that's why I really love marketing, because the visuals for me are really important. And I think it helps your brand. So I studied visual communications in Dubai, and I really disliked the uni. My dad actually had to remind me. I was like, what did I say about the uni? Because you forget all these things. And he was like, you said there were like 3 books in the library. I was like, well, there were. Like, he's like, you felt bad if you took one out because there'd only be 2 left. So I was...
The empathy.
There was no interest. Like the people who went there was no interest in study. It was just a reason to not be at home. And I couldn't be around, I wanted like people who were really hungry to do something. Yeah. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to apply for a scholarship. And he's like, cool, whatever. You're not going to get it kind of thing. Yeah. And I got it and I was like, see you later. And he was like, we talked about it being the last year of uni. And I was like, we never talked about timeframes. Yeah. I'm leaving now. So I did the first year in Dubai and then I transferred to Savannah.
That's amazing. Was it a sister university or just a totally
I went to the American University in Dubai.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then this was, I just applied separately. They had actually visited my high school in Kuwait, funnily enough.
Because I'm thinking, how do you even know that uni?
Because
that uni?
I wanted to live in America so bad.
Yeah.
So living in Kuwait, you had access to very little like on television. Yeah. So you'd have to get a satellite and then obviously, a lot of things were like not allowed to be aired or that kind of stuff. So I loved watching American television. Yeah. And my dad would tape all the Seinfelds and all the I Love Lucy's, like Growing Pains, like weird Golden Girls. I watched all of these things like on repeat. Yeah. And I just wanted to live in the States because it meant that you could be anyone or anything. And obviously the performance part was like a big part of it. So I had always wanted to go to the States and my brother had always wanted to go to the UK. So that's what we did. So then I got there. I was there for 3 years in Savannah. And then I moved to Portland, Oregon and worked in a couple of different architectural practices over there. And they were wildly, different south and the west coast.
What do you think both those locations gave you? Like what layering? Because it feels like there's this layering happening. So what do you think feather in the cap did those two?
The south reminded me almost a little bit of the Middle East in its hospitality, in its like connection to food and family. Like that was a
That
really
generosity of
big
spirit.
thing.
Yeah.
And also just, I loved the way they like communicated with one another. It was a predominantly, Black community. And I loved that so much because it just felt alive. You'd have these guys playing saxophone on the sides of these squares, just like insanely talented. And then it just felt, like everything I had wanted it to be. It lived up to that expectation. And then moving to the West Coast was like completely different, had a very small Black community. And all of a sudden it was like night and day again, just being, whoa, and everyone's in like wet weather gear and climbing mountains and riding bikes. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
So it was just like, I'd ride my bike to work and not see the sun for 80 days. So 3 years on, I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I went traveling for a year and then came back to Oz. So
Came back to Oz.
Yeah.
Why Oz and not back to the Middle East?
I obviously had a passport to Australia and I was really tired of visas. I mean, what was I going to do when I went back to the Middle East? Like I spent my whole life wanting to leave because I felt cramped. But now that I'm older, I want to go back there so bad. But it's like a really, you always want what you don't have. So
totally. Always. You crave those. And I think time
Of
and
course.
distance gives you that.
Oh, for sure.
I get it. I was born here, but I have a deep connection to Lebanon. And this year was the year that I was going and dragging everyone with me. And, can't go at the moment. But I understand that pull.
Yeah.
It's invisible. It's hard to explain.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I want to come back a little bit to the work. I want to talk about, obviously, your work is so layered. We've said that before, and it's so rich. But what does restraint look like? Or does that play a part in the work? Like, do you ever kind of look at a palette and then go, actually, I need to pull one element out? Yeah.
Always. And everything.
How are you editing it?
Edit at every stage, at every hour before we deliver the project, we're editing, you know. And I think if we delivered the project as we'd hoped in the concept, that it would be too much, you know. So there's this constant sense of reduction. That
was one of my questions, actually. How much of the project is worked out for you in your mind before it even starts, or is it a work in progress even like through the build stage? It
depends on the project. It's kind of funny. Some projects you kind of go in and you know exactly what you want to do, or the overriding concept, the words or the image is really strong. And then sometimes it's a little bit trickier because we don't always have access to our clients, and that sounds funny, but we might be dealing with their agent, or there's that lack of trust. So you're second guessing always what you're doing. And I hate designing in that way.
Can we just stay there for a minute? Because I feel like my whole design career has me second guessing every decision I've ever made. Like literally staying up at night going, holy shit, is that joinery going to like work?
I think that's natural.
I know, but I don't want to live like that anymore. It's
soul destroying.
It is, right? Yeah. Like, is it just me, or is it?
No.
It's just exhausting. I think it's exhausting more than anything else.
I'm
just tired.
It's mentally draining.
You
know, I think the confidence of like knowing that the client's going to love it is what makes the process really beautiful. But when you're constantly trying to prove almost why they picked you, you know, it's like, I don't know if this is worth it, you know? So,
have you had to shift the way you operate because you kind of get to a point where you just go, look, I know what I'm fucking doing. I've won enough awards now to be able to prove that I know what I'm doing. Or how do you quiet that voice, and do you?
I tell the client, you got to trust me. And I'm really open about it. And I say, I promise you are not going to be disappointed, but you have to have a level of trust, or this isn't going to really work. You know, and then there have been instances where I've done that and they still don't like it, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll give you what you want. You know, and I think when you're working across different cultures, it's very difficult you want to instill your idea of what it feels like to be in a house in that country, but that culturally, like, that's maybe not how they live, but you're pushing it on them. And I have to realize that there's a I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can tweak it, but I can't redefine it,
Yeah.
So that's been a learning curve for me this
Yeah.
year.
And it was at one project that kind of...
One project specifically, which I'm still working on.
And so do you think that will alter the way you kind of approach
I think
new
I just
work?
need to dig deeper into, I do a lot of work in the Middle East, so it's very easy for me because I know the culture so well.
Yeah.
In this particular region, I don't know enough to be able to go, I can tweak it. I'm still learning those foundations, so I've got to learn them before I can mess with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You got to know the rules before
Exactly.
you break them.
So
So with the work in the Middle East, how is that work coming?
no idea.
Wow. Okay.
Instagram, I think.
Because you said, your husband obviously works on pipeline. So what does I'm jumping around now.
Yeah.
What does business development look like for YSG?
We do absolutely zero marketing. It's based on, we spend a lot of time on our socials. Like our Instagram is almost our website because I don't think a lot of people actually jump on our website.
No. Does anybody look at a website anymore?
Unless you're really interested in that person, then you'll jump and find more.
Yeah.
But you're not going to immediately go there. That's not your go-to. Instagram is essentially.
It is, yeah.
So I think the first client we got had, interviewed a lot of different people like Kelly Wessler and Alex Vervoot. Like I was like, what? When they told me who else they were, kind of talking to, and I was like, okay, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Why didn't
and
you?
also this is big.
Yeah, I was like, why would you not pick, those guys?
I can tell you why. But anyway, you finish your story.
And they were saying, we can see the cross-referencing of cultures and we like that. We don't want it to be super Middle East and we want it to have this Western edge, but we don't want to lose the essence of the Middle East either. So I think that's why it started, and then it just kind of snowballed, and we worked in Oman and Dubai, and the Oman is like super fun because there's like African references all over, and my lead on that project got to go. I was having Sahara, so I couldn't, but she's Lebanese, and I think she just loved being back in the Middle East.
Yeah.
So, and all of our staff go over to our projects.
So how does that work when you're working on a project? Do they go over to do the presentations, or do you go over when
just go over to see the site?
Okay.
We did a project in Saudi and went over there probably like 6 or 7 times over the 3 years.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. We had a team of joiners here who created all of our joinery, and it got sent over there.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
So
is it because the talent's not there?
I think it was a bit of both. It was a beautiful project that they, I guess, was so invested in showcasing what you could do.
Yeah.
And a lot of the work was timber, and they're not super, yes, there's amazing timber workers over there, but I think the heat is problematic in terms of it cracking. And so we kind of did a lot of testing. Australia has very similar almost weather conditions as like the desert. So it was just like a lot of trial and error, really. But it was great. I think that is kind of why my name, I guess, helps.
Yeah.
If it was Sally, I don't know if it would work, but yeah.
It's absolutely. Next part of the conversation, the important part of the conversation. When we were on the phone, you talked about, the hard stuff, like the stuff that building a super successful business is all amazing and it looks incredible on paper, but it comes at a cost. Can we talk about what those years looked like from the inside, personally?
Yeah.
There are 2 dates that you have inked on your skin. And I think they're really, really, like I told you, I was like, I had goosebumps. I was going to cry. It's so beautiful. I'd love to just kind of talk about what it costs to have the success that you've had. Yeah.
It's funny. I was thinking about it earlier and I was like, everyone's definition of success is so different. I look at success as being able to like sit on your couch and read a book for a couple hours and hang out with your kid. Like for me, that would be my idea of success. And then somebody would look at me and go, well, you've got a great business and you're, working on telly and you do this and you do that. And sometimes I question if that's what I think success is, because I didn't, again, strive for any of this. It just sort of evolved over time. always wanted to do something, memorable and long lasting, but I didn't know it would come out this way,
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of trying to figure out how it happened, or if it is something that is sustainable until I'm 60. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
what does the evolution of YSG look like? I'd love to do furniture and all of those things. So
What do you think has got, other than this drive that your father's taking full credit for?
sorry.
But sorry, Dad. You said like the decisions are intuitive ones. So do you think about kind of the future, just if you just trust your intuition, it got you this far and it's been amazing, just have faith in that and just
I do.
Because I can see there are so many things you can do, but how do you balance the juggle and what do you prioritize in life?
Yeah, at the moment, I prioritize my daughter.
Yeah.
So like I go into work a little bit later and I finish earlier and I just don't go to functions anymore. Because or if someone asks me to do something on a Sunday afternoon, I'm like, absolutely not. That's like my gem time.
Yeah.
So I've become like either work or home. I don't really do much else.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I'm so fine with that because I waited so long to have her.
Yeah.
So every moment I get is like, whoa, this is insane. So
can we talk about the journey to having Sahara? Because you said to me that you had 7 years of unexplained infertility. Like that's the stuff nobody knows about. That's all happening behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And I kind of, I didn't have 7 years, but it took me 3 years to have my first daughter. So I understand that yearning, that feeling of it's like I can't even find the words for that. And the joy that comes when this child comes into the world.
It's insane.
Tell me how it felt for you. How can you have this parallel life of having extreme success? It's the holy grail of success for a lot of Australian designers who are trying to build businesses here and looking at you going, holy shit, the work is incredible and it's totally deserved, but it's incredible success. And then yet you have this contrast. Feels like your life is all about contrast.
It is.
This contrast and this yearning and wanting. Like, how do you reconcile that in your day-to-day?
Yeah, it's funny. I was also thinking about this, why I'm obsessed with like the duality of everything I do.
Yeah.
And there's like this very extreme high and then very extreme low. And there's not really ever anything in between. And it always seems to come at once. So all the good things like just go whoosh, and then all the bad things just like literally fall at the base of my gut like all the time. And that was, the fertility journey was probably like, because you have to work at the same time and function and be, creative when all sometimes you want to do is just sit down and bawl. It was very difficult. It was super difficult. But, you just really hope that one day it will happen. And I just never gave up that hope.
I'm getting emotional just talking about this. And because you said Sahara was natural.
Yes.
And you had 7 rounds.
I had 7 rounds of IVF. I had 7 miscarriages and it was 7 years. That's why numbers for me mean so much. Yeah. And I do really believe in a lot of, people would call it woo-woo shit.
Yep. I'm here with you, babes. I love the woo-woo stuff. I have got a million screenshots of the double digits on my phone. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but I get it.
I feel like if you haven't had things happen in your life to support that idea, then obviously you're not going to believe any of it. But I've had too many instances in my life where I'm just like, whoa, this is what the hell.
Yeah.
And I think once you start acknowledging that they happen a lot. Yeah. And you can't ignore them.
Because you see them.
Because they're everywhere.
Well, you started your business on the 20th of February, so 22.
Yeah.
And then you had your baby on the 22nd of the 2nd.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's not enough evidence.
At 12:02 a.m.
At 12:02.
Which was crazy because she should have been born like 6 hours before because they had to induce me and they messed up the catheter and it was just bleeding all over my skirt, the stuff to make me go.
Yeah.
And then, so she shouldn't have been born at 12:02, but she was.
Which,
yeah. because they stuffed up the catheter.
Oh my God. Holy moly. So were you in active labor for that 6 hours?
No. So I was bouncing on a ball, eating a snake, trying
to go natural.
I was watching Big Business. Again,
no.
Twins, dual opposites.
Oh my God, this duality.
Yes.
This idea of duality. I mean, even your parents, Australian, Egyptian, that's a duality in itself.
Yeah,
It's a theme that runs right through every part of your life.
It does.
Gosh.
Yeah. And she came in and she said, you should be screaming right now. Why aren't you screaming? I said, I feel fine. And she's like, don't eat, babe. You're going to vomit in about 10 minutes. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I had no idea what was going on. So then she came in and she's like, why is it all over your skirt? I was like, I told you, like, it was leaking and you didn't do anything about it. She's like, I got to fix this up for you. And then 2 seconds later, I went into labor. But it was very short. It was 45 minutes. Was out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How do you feel? 7 years of trying, hoping, and then she finally comes into the world.
I mean, a miracle. Like, yeah. After being told, on several occasions, just stop trying. It's not going to work.
You also mentioned that you hired someone, the last piece in the puzzle. Tell me about that. Because that seems significant.
I do think, everything happens for a reason. I'm such a strong believer of that. And I feel like Sahara, she could never have been born on any other day because I just don't feel like I would have been ready. I don't feel the studio was ready. I didn't feel personally mature enough, I suppose.
Even though you wanted it for that whole time.
Yeah, I thought I was ready.
So now in reflection.
Tom and I always have this discussion is like, she came when she knew we were ready to do it, She
was always there.
She was there and she was like, get your shit together, guys. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. So I think there was that element of acknowledgement again, being aware that everything was in its right place. It was, I kind of hired my architect that I need, my registered architect, because we were kind of opening up that arm and I really I've always wanted to do architecture. So I'm thrilled that we can now offer that service. But that was the missing link. And it kind of just, cemented everything. And I was pregnant like a month later. And I just went, it was just crazy.
I have goosebumps. Seriously, I have goosebumps. Because I really believe everything in life happens in its perfect timing. If you let it.
I wished I just hadn't worried that whole time. Because, if somebody told you I'd have a kid in 7 years, it didn't matter how long it was going to take. I was like, cool, I'll just chill.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you don't know, this doesn't work, does it?
What do you think... you obviously had to learn almost the art of patience, right? And trust.
I was not patient.
I can't imagine. But what do you think that journey has taught you?
For sure. I mean, it has forever changed me. I don't think I'd be so appreciative of having my daughter as I am. And I don't think I'd intentionally take time out of work to look after her or be with her if I hadn't wanted her for so long. I think if it just was easy and it popped out, I'd be chucking her in daycare every day. But I think the act of 7 years of waiting, I can't just do that. I have to be with her. Yeah. And it's, I think it's tricky obviously with the team because they also need me. But I have to be, I'm kind of trying to stay strong in myself because I know business has always come first and it's really hard to make it now come second. So I'm just trying to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing an amazing job. And I think Sahara's so lucky to have you where you're at now. Like she's going to gain so much and she'll be an incredible child because you're so focused on giving yourself to her in that way. And I just think,
I hope so. I try not look at my phone when she's around. I don't even really, I say try.
You don't want to.
I don't want to. Yeah. I'm just I just find myself just staring at her for a long period of time. I'm like, well, I could do nothing all day. Just stare at you.
Just watch you. Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's so beautiful. Reminds me, my kids are much older now, so I miss those days. And I wish I had enjoyed them more when they were there. I was a very anxious mother, so That's a whole other story. That's a whole podcast in itself.
Hey,
We're not
I'm
going to
not
go there.
I'm not saying I'm not an anxious mom. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? My only piece of advice is just don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not worth sweating the small stuff. Just be present and enjoy it, because it's so magical, and it does
so fast.
It does go fast. Everyone tells you it goes
I
fast.
know. You don't believe them.
Never believe
I
them,
know.
but believe me, it goes so fast.
I know.
I've got my 19-year-old daughter in the room here, so
That's so
it's
sad.
gorgeous. I know.
But not for you, I'm sure.
We're going to do some reflection questions.
Yeah.
I could talk to you for like hours upon hours. I hope I've done this episode justice. But what does it feel like? What does life feel like now to you that it didn't feel like a few years ago? In terms of, where do you feel you are now and where do you want to go?
I feel personally so much more complete, now that I've started my family, and that to me has brought me so much joy, and I feel like that emanates, the way I do things in the studio, and when she's in there, I think people can see how much it sort of affects my day-to-day. That element of like, is it going to happen, isn't there anymore, which is so nice to not feel. And I think business-wise, we just moved down the hallway in the same building last year or 2 years ago now. God, it goes so quickly. But we fitted out, and we are doing so many collaborations with so many different suppliers that people don't even know about. They're coming out soon. And I love that collaborative product. I love product, and I love furniture. And I talk about my dad a lot, but he's a big part of my life. And he came in the other day, and he was like doing a video for the family back in Cairo. And he was like, man, this just feels so good in here. And I was like, it just made me so happy that like he got the feeling that I wanted to try and convey. Yeah. And I think that for me is like so many designers, it's about emotive responses. And for, to have my family walk in and feel comfortable is like in a workspace, is like amazing. So for me, I kind of feel like that was the tap on the shoulder that I was asking for so long.
Yeah.
And so I love I love our team. We've spent so much time, myself and sort of the management team creating and curating and mentoring and loving and supporting, everybody who works there. And it's just such a great place to walk into. And everyone's like smiling and chatting. And when we're in stress mode, it's still, it's not hectic. So that for me is success in being able to drive a team in a positive way, where I think maybe in the past I haven't done that so well, because I'm still trying to learn how to do that. But I think I'm getting better at that part, which is exciting for me. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Yeah. But also, I think moving forward, we're wanting to buy a YSG house and have a showroom downstairs, so it has a lot of our product and collaborative stuff that people can come in and view and try and buy, and workspace here, and then sort of like a bazaar up the top where you can kind of buy things that we find from all over the world.
When's that coming out? That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's been something we've wanted to do for a long time. It's something that culminates all of the loves of where we go, and all of our staff would, ideally find things on their travels and bring it to the table too, because the magnitude of the places that people are from is really wide. It's, we've got Polish and, Japanese and Chinese and Croatian, Lebanese, it's just really beautiful mix.
Yeah. Have you sought that out?
Not intentionally.
Not
intentionally.
But it almost, maybe you've just attracted it.
Well, it's kind of like
because that's what's fed you over the years.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's make the garden, and the bees will come.
Oh my God, I love that.
Not that I'm saying anyone's a bee, but I just love,
it's
metaphoric.
Okay, as I said, a few reflection questions. What did beauty mean to you before you had the language for it, the words to describe it?
Effortless, comforting, safe,
And what when you design a house for somebody or a space, what do you want them to feel when they walk into one of your projects?
Like they've never been in anywhere else like it. So one of our things is wonder. It's, you know, it's you want somebody to walk in and feel like they're a kid, but in not a kiddie way.
Yeah.
You know,
in a sophisticated,
yeah,
really
in like,
refined.
but it's really nostalgic. It takes them back to something in their childhood that they can't quite pick, you know? Yeah.
What's the one piece of advice you want Sahara to grow up with, knowing?
I'll support you in whatever you want to do.
And our last signature question that we ask everybody, what does Build Beautiful mean to you?
Longevity.
Wow.
Yeah.
In what way?
You should take the time to think about what you want to build, because then if you have that beautiful foundation, you won't want to kind of demolish it. It's just kind of setting up the story from the beginning.
Yeah.
You start from the beginning. You don't start somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You know?
Start as you mean to continue.
Yeah.
Yasmine, that amazing conversation.
Aw.
I can't thank you enough for
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Build Beautiful. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love it if you'd follow the show, leave a review, or share it with someone who's building something meaningful. It matters more than you know. Follow us on Instagram at Build Beautiful Podcast. Until next time, keep creating with intention, and together we build beautiful.